Hey, hey, welcome in, welcome in. Um, I'm excited for the topic today. And as I was beginning and putting in the title to start this, I felt the need to also come and kind of just be real with you guys. And throughout the conversation, tie this into what matters to you. But I felt like this wasn't a moment to just show up and put on a good face, but just to really be honest about what I'm currently growing through because I think we're all always growing through something. And I am starting to see how you do one thing is how you do everything. So, addressing even the moments where you feel like you could have made a different decision or, you just come up against any opposition, it could also be a lesson or peek into how you deal with other things. I did not always see life that way, but through personal development and my own coaching, I've learned that that is true more often than not. So I almost didn't go live today, even though I posted about it and I could have been like, oh, well, I don't know if people saw it. I don't know who's going to be there and all the things. Um, but I almost didn't because literally, maybe about 20 minutes ago, 20, 30 minutes ago, I was literally in the midst of having a breakdown. And it wasn't related to contracts or business or anything. But the whole point about what I said earlier on how everything works together. Hold on a second, I'm gonna have to quiet him down. How everything runs together. I think this is an important point that I'm still unpacking, working through, trying to, put a ribbon around, I suppose. Um, so what am I growing? What's going on? Many of you know I spoke about this in some posts. Maybe you may not have known if you're new or not. And by the way, I'm Kirsten. For those who may be new here, um, I do have a topic for you today. And I think what I'm sharing, what I feel led to share at this moment, is more important and likely going to be the thing that resonates versus, hey, here's the steps to do the things. We've done so much of that. It's time to get moving. And sometimes it may be looking at past situations for threads. So, anyway, I spoke in the past about my struggles with anxiety and depression, and really rooted from this belief or this pattern that I have built in myself that everyone's perception of me or their thoughts or criticisms, all the things. I've been in so many situations where I've been critiqued in my life. Um, whether that was for my own good or for people to be right. I think sometimes that is the case, especially if I look back over my professional career. I feel that sometimes critiques were given really so that person can feel like they've got it right and they've got, a handle over me versus, truly being supportive. So I've experienced that. And of course, just many other things on the spectrum. I tell that story or just give you a glimpse into that because it is something that I'm constantly working through. I have done so much spiritually. I've done so much work on myself to really look at how I'm showing up in the world and knowing who truly defines me and not allowing criticism, fear, um, all of that stuff that is just negative and outside of us to define who I truly am. And today that showed up for me again. And so I ought to know enough, but I'm still again growing through it that just because something happened and you think you've gotten over it, that at every level it can continue to show up in a different way. And you have an opportunity to look at how you wish to deal with it. So the moment came up today, and I again thought, okay, I have a handle on this. I have a handle on criticism because I know who I am. I know what I do. I know how much I give into every single thing that I do. And so I'm not going to allow this to like take me down. And I was good up until a point, and I should have probably let it stick there. But then I didn't. And I unraveled a little bit. So if you've seen my podcast, it's the Unraveled to Unleash podcast. Because of that, I've gone through these moments in my life where I felt unraveled. And before, like I said, I would have got on here and just been like, hey, da da da, just push through it. But I think it's important to share the unraveled moments like I do on the podcast, even in this space, because I think oftentimes that is the shift that holds us back from doing the things that we're meant to do. Not even just about the corporate contracts, but in business, in relationships, in all aspects of our lives. Sometimes we allow the moments of unraveling to be things that we just put on the side and just say, you know what, we've moved past this. We don't want to deal with this anymore. Maybe for you, it might be fear of rejection. I don't want to send this email because maybe something in your past has happened where you've reached out and you didn't get the response that you liked and it hurt. And so now it's like, wound, let me hide it. And I'm just not going to do that again. And I think that for many of us, whatever your thing is, for me, it is this idea of worthiness, this idea of, perfectionism. How many struggle with perfectionism? Perfectionism is about as chronic as all the cancers in the world, all the diseases in the world. I feel that it's just as bad because it can literally cripple you, literally keep you from taking a next step. And I can't think about the amount of people that I talk. That's another imperfection moment. I have a son. And oftentimes when I'm trying to get things done, I have to take a pause to remind him what's going on. Anyway, perfectionism is a big thing for me. And so even as I do this work, sometimes it still shows up. And I have a decision to either move forward or let it take me out or let it get to me. And as I mentioned, sometimes even in this moment that I'm sharing about today, maybe there's something on my screen and not actually on my nose. Sharing this moment today to just give light to the fact that it's not you don't know or you don't do or whatever it is, it likely is something within, some hidden or seated belief that you have that might be preventing you from taking the next step. So today, that issue with me that happened almost prevented me from taking the next step of showing up here live to talk, to connect with you, which is aligned with the purpose and assignment for my life. If I allowed the enemy's tricks, and I don't say that in like, oh, this was an attack of the enemy, but I'm saying even some things that can seem so harmless, right, can be, something that doesn't on the surface look like an attack. I feel the enemy can use certain things. He knows, Lord, we're not going to be on here crying. We're going to stop there. I feel like he knows what things to do at certain moments to try to take us off track. And so I'm serving the enemy notice today that you nor I have time for him and his raggedy foolishness because we got work to do. We got corporate clients to get now. We have missions and assignments and ideas and innovations to birth into the world. And although it is hard, it is difficult, literally came from a breakdown to get here and talk to you guys today. I didn't want to do it. I didn't even want to talk about it. But I think that it's so important to show the behind the scenes of what happens in order to do amazing things. There will be attacks. There will be moments where you thought you were over something and it shows up again and it becomes frustrating. But I think it's also an opportunity, whether you let it break you down or not, it's an opportunity to say, you know what? I see you. I actually had a conversation with a friend earlier this week, and we were talking through these things. She's like, I would never see you as a person who struggle with worthiness or has fear. You just seem very fearless in all the things that you do. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it seems like. But number one, you don't know all that I went through to get here. You don't know how many times I had situations, experiences that tried to take me off track. where I had fears that I couldn't do something and made a mistake, or times where I attempted to do something and was rejected. Like, people wonder, oh, well, you just send the emails, you just do the things. Think about the amount of times I've been rejected. You won't know, but that's the other side to think about it. I've had to take on so much in order to stand firm in who I am and the value that I bring. And even in the moments of breaking down, even in the moments where I said, maybe I shouldn't show up today, or I don't want to give up, or nobody's going to be on here, or whoever's going to be on here, it doesn't matter. I still know that I have an assignment and a thing that I have to do, because that's what I'm put on earth to do. And so I think that, to go along with this title, which I wasn't again planning on sharing this, but the one shift is really that understanding that it's a mission that you have. It's not just get corporate contracts, just to say, put logos on your website, or even to get the large check. But really, it's the impact that you want to create behind it, whether that is to grow your business to a certain level so that you can be able to live a life of freedom, whether that is impact that you want to create, whether that is the individuals inside of corporations that you want to serve because they need your help too. Whatever your big reason is, that is a mission and assignment. And we don't want to allow the lies, the tricks, the distorted vision of ourselves, the pride, really, where we're trying to hide ourselves from being hurt again, where we're trying to convince ourselves we've moved through it and don't allow ourselves to feel whatever it is. Wipe the tears and get back up. Get on the live, Kirsten. Because someone, whether they see it today or 50 days from now, this is going to resonate. You have a mission. And so for me, my faith is a place where I can continue to get my strength and fuel so that I can show up and be who the most, or enough for the person that needs me most, like my mentor says. And not even from a business standpoint, but enough for my son, enough for my husband, enough for all the hats and titles that I wear. So I pull on that to get me through those moments where I feel like, I don't know if I got it in me today. And I know that for a lot of you in this space, it's new. And perhaps there are some moments where you feel like past situations or past insecurities come up for you as you're looking to pursue doing business in this way. Well, I've never been in corporate. And I've heard that story before, or, I may have had one corporate job and I left it, or whatever the case may be. There likely is some story attached there. And so maybe in your head, as you are thinking of moving into corporate in this way, those old memories, or however you felt in that environment, may come up for you and prevent you from even sending the email. It may be that, again, rejection, like we talked about. Maybe you've experienced a level of rejection that really shaped or changed the way that you look at interactions. So perhaps you could be trying to protect yourself from feeling that sting again. And I say it because I feel it myself. I know that feeling very well. But I do also know the feeling of pushing past it and remembering that those moments don't define me. That person doesn't define me. That situation doesn't even define me. How I felt about it doesn't even define me. I know who I am from my creator. So even in my imperfections, I still have the power and strength to do what is called for me to do. And I think that's the big difference with living for and on purpose and in purpose versus just existing. I feel that my clients, the people that I'm most called to serving, especially with this story that I have and what we're sharing today, is there's a mission for us to do this. There's a reason. There's a calling to be in these spaces. There's a calling or a pulling to be in these spaces. And like I said, it's not about the logos that you get to put on your website. It's about the impact. It's about the freedom. It's about what it means for this enterprise or this vision that you're building. So when you're faced with these things that's trying to come up from your past, like they did today for me, and in whatever way it may be used to try to take you off track, to try to tell you that you can't do it, to try to tell you that you don't have a place in corporate, to try to tell you that you don't have time to be able to reach out to people, or you don't know what to say, or you're not buttoned up enough, you're not corporate enough, you're not whatever enough. Silence that. It's the lie and the trick of the enemy. And I rebuke it right now because it's not true. If it's something that you feel is on the inside of you to do and that you have this audience to go and share it with, I don't care if you have purple hair, you've never been in corporate, and you don't speak the corporate language. You should be there. Fear and all. Put her in the back seat and let's go. That's what I told my friend. And that was the part about I see you. Even in that moment, I allowed myself to feel the feelings of all the things. And I said, I see you though. I see what you're trying to do. You know, you thinking this is K from the block where you kind of blow a little certain way and she's gone. And that's all you got to do. Just do a little tap on the shoulder. She falls out. Oh no. That was yesterday. Today is today. And your little blows or your little taps on the shoulder or whatever you trying to do in the background to take me off track don't work here. Let's go. I see you, but let's go. And so I want to offer that position to you the next time you feel like I can't send the email, I can't do the things, or you get nervous before you're about to have a discovery call. I can even think about a story with a friend of mine who said she had this corporate contract opportunity, but she got on the call like it was an interview and really allowed the other person to take control. And she got off the call and she was like, man, I should have been, more in charge of that conversation. And as we continue to talk over several conversations, she said, I really am just not seeing myself as this business person, to go in these conversations with that type of mindset. And I thought that was really good for her to be aware of, because oftentimes maybe that's what we're thinking as we go into corporations. We're treating it like a job opportunity because that's been our position, or we feel like that is the only place where we have value. And so we lean into that. But I'm here to tell you, you have more value than that. That may have been your place then. But now you're in the place of an expert. Now you're in the place of the person. Let me sit up when I say that so you know what I mean. Now you're in the place of an expert. You're in the place of the person that they need. And guess what? You can show up with whatever fear, with whatever apprehension, with all the situations, everything that's ever tried to take you off track. You can show up with that too and still be just as powerful. It can be there. You just don't have to let it stop you. I had my moment, but I'm still here on live today. You can have your moments. Send the email, have the conversation. If you got to give yourself a pep talk in the mirror before you get on a call with the decision maker and say, you know what? I know what I know. I'm not trying to be nobody that I'm not. And I know that who I am today is enough for the right corporate client who needs my services, who needs just me. So I don't have to pretend to be anybody else. And I think as you shift into that mindset, even going more into the shifts, the more you'll find a lot of the fears that you may have may no longer even exist or even touch you. One fear that I often hear from people is, what if they ask about my past experience and, what other companies that I've worked with? And I have to tell them, you know what's crazy? I rarely hear that question when you show up as I'm teaching you how to show up. Doesn't exist. Trick of the enemy. stopping you from doing what you need to do because you have all this going through your head, all of these preconceived notions, these thoughts, these triggers, these past stories that are preventing you from taking the step. What I want to share with you today is take the step with the fear, with the breakdown, with the being powerful. Lord, we're not going to start crying on here. I just said that. Being powerful and weak at the same time. Like, how many of us can really embody that, if you can even imagine it? Standing in your power, even with all of your weaknesses. That's what's going to get you that next opportunity. Moving through, not powering through, not acting like it's not there and whatever, seeing it and saying, with all of this, I'm still powerful. With all of this, I'm still needed in this space. With all of this, you know what? A part of this is going to be what sets someone else free. That's how I felt today. A part of this is going to be what sets someone free. So I can't hide it. I can't act like, get on here and just be like, oh, everything's okay. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. No, we're not doing that anymore. So I pray that this has blessed you. I do. Whoever is under the sound of my voice, the one shift is shifting past, your fears, your traumas. It is believing, perhaps that is actually one shift. We're talking and walking and fleshing this out, but understanding that you're powerful even in your weakness. And I think that belief will allow you to move through everything, from pitching yourself, from sending the email, from how you carry yourself in conversations. Don't be afraid to step into the room, even if you aren't the most qualified. Look, that went back to my other message. And what you don't need to say you're not the most qualified. Let's be clear on that. My post that I wrote, you don't need to say that. But what I'm telling you, I know this is in your head because it's been in my head. So none of that matters. Put all that to the side, all the burdens, all the baggage, all that stuff to the side. And the one shift is saying, I'm powerful in my weaknesses. And for me, I don't know what you believe. For me, that strength and power comes from my source, from God, from Jesus. To know that, because if I was just counting on my own strength, I would have been taken out a long time ago. I just told you all the stories that I've been through. Well, I didn't tell you all the stories, but I just told you I've been through a lot of rejection. So if I had only counted on my own strength, I would have been out a long time ago. I thank God for his grace, because I wouldn't be here without it. So that is my source of strength. I offer that to you as a gift to continue to seek if it feels like it's aligned with you. But the main point is power in your weakness is what's going to get you that next opportunity. Because sitting in fear, sitting in confusion, and I say confusion because some of y'all might even already know at least the first step to do. If you're following me, you know a lot of good steps. I didn't gave a whole lot. I didn't gave a whole lot before I awakened and said, you know what? Look, we're shifting. So if you're following me, you know the first few steps to do. Why haven't you done it? Because it's not about taking the steps. You don't need more information. You don't need more 1, 2, 3s. You don't need more, hey, here's where you find opportunities. I have literally, you could scroll and scroll and scroll and see all that stuff. But I know for a fact there are many people that still haven't moved, because it's not about the steps. It's about shifting. Shifting how you see yourself, how you see yourself in relation to companies. How many of you feel like it's big, it's little me and it's big company, I'm a small business and this is a corporation? You know, or I serve entrepreneurs. How am I going to position myself to serve corporations? That is stopping us. And every day that goes by, you see my posts or you see other posts or wherever you are, and this opportunity continues to stir something up in you, but you still haven't done it because you need to fully accept, see that shift, and be guided through it. And I say that as a witness. I wouldn't be able to move quickly through situations if I didn't have tools, if I didn't have communities, if I didn't have mentors. Like, all of those things play into effect. So, with that being said, like I mentioned, I pray that this blesses you. I pray that me outing myself and saying everything is not all roses and glittery and gold every single day and yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I just choose to keep showing up. I get the same fears. I've been through my own journey. Everything has not been perfect. I've had way more losses than wins. I just choose to keep showing up because I know that there's a mission. And I refuse to let the enemy win over me and my purpose. And I, for me, fight that through prayer, through worship, through reading and understanding who I am from the word so that I can truly be who I'm called to be. And I encourage, and my prayer is that whoever it is in my community that hears this, that you see your value, you see the truth, and you have a tool to say, okay, I'm going to move with this. You know what I'm saying? Not even move through it. I might have said move through it, but that kind of gives this image of like barreling through and like this, resistance. I'm going to say move with it. Move with it. I think that's one of the greatest things that I've learned this year over the past couple of years, especially being mentored, is like this idea of move with it. Move with the fear, move with the past experiences, move with the fear of rejection or whatever it is, and decide I'm going to do it anyway. And I think that is one of the things when I think back over my life, that's one of the things that I have done that most people, look to or cling to. I'm a comeback kid. I'm gonna do it anyway. So I want to give you some of that energy so that you can move and do it anyway. Okay. If this resonated with you, I want to make you an invitation because I felt like this was very powerful. And for the person that's like, okay, we talked about all of this, I don't want to leave you hanging and I don't want to leave you without an opportunity to have a space where you can continue to sort this out, where you can have someone in your corner, not only giving you the strategy and the steps, but also the shifts and being there to say, hey, you're not showing up today. What's going on? Being able to say, what is holding you back here and tell you what the shift or give you tools, give you space where you can move with the things instead of fight them, or worse, not do anything because you're so afraid of them. In my work, and we do this in several different ways, that we partner with individuals to take what they have and turn it into what's next. Most times that does look like corporate contracts. Sometimes it may even be some other business growth area that is a big deal, like getting into corporations. And I say that because we have clients that work with nonprofits and school systems and universities and all these different areas, and they want to take what they have and turn it into what is next in those areas. And so that's what we do. And I want to invite you to come and be a part of that. There are many different ways, like I said, that looks, but a part of what we do in the beginning is really looking at what is it that you do have and helping you to transform and speak about what that looks like for you next. What does that look like in a corporation? We help you also be able to develop a system that we've been able to create as a well-oiled machine that helps you be able to connect with those individuals inside of these entities who need what you have to offer. And I walk with you to help you see what your position is in these spaces and how you can add immense value with just who you are today and the business that you built today. It's not about creating anything. It's about taking what you have and just elevating it to speak to this particular audience. And so I give you the steps and tools. I give you, of course, the strategy and use my experience in corporate and selling all the contracts and doing all the things and bringing you the steps that I know and how companies work. But I think the greatest part of my work is seeing people look at their business differently and see that they have opportunities to do large partnerships, that they don't just have to be a one-trick pony, right? That there's more to their expertise. And there are people, companies with million, thousand, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions, multi-millions, that would gladly contract an organization like yours for your services. And what that will then unlock for you is also important to me. Time freedom, legacy, being able to get one contract that's your annual revenue, all of those things. So that is what we do. If you are interested in figuring out what ways specifically you can work with me in order to accomplish taking what you have, turning it into your next, and not just from a step by step, but also just removing and uncovering, learning the tools to move through to achieve that purpose, then what I want you to do is shoot me a DM, tell me you caught this live, and let's have a quick conversation about how we can work together. I do have a short application process to complete so that I can learn about your business, your work, and make sure it's a good fit. And then from there, we'll have a conversation, an open conversation to see exactly what your need is and see if there's an opportunity for us to work together. And so if you're interested in that, I look forward to speaking with you. And then if it's not for you right now, no worries. Join us back here on next Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, for whatever downloads come then. I pray that this has blessed you. Have an amazing day.